Hi, Peter. Thanks so much for coming on again. And since our last conversation, what have you been up to?
Thank you, Deep. It's always a pleasure to be with you. I appreciate your energy and I really appreciate everything you're doing to help spread enlightenment in the world. And hey, to everybody listening, I've been super busy. Spirit has said, okay, your next task is to produce an app that's going to have like a university level ascension program. And it's going to come out in three phases. I just finished writing the first draft of the first phase, and it has 60 teaching lessons and 40 processes and transmissions that people can use repeatedly as they need to grow with. And that's only the first of three levels. So we put a whole team together. People are coming out of the woodwork saying, I want in on this, I want to help. So we got all kinds of amazing computer skills and people working on this. So that's what I've been up to is getting ready to take it out there so people can start to get ascension teachings 24/7 on their own schedule without having to travel all over.
Oh, that's amazing, Peter. And I've heard that you've started channeling a new entity as well. Who is this new
Several. It's
Several.
like
Okay.
the way it is that after a while I realized I could talk to any entity I choose by just simply focusing on it. It's like literally saying their name. And then their energy is there and I can channel them. So who would you want to talk to?
Everyone.
Well, everyone is
Everyone
welcome.
that's gone over on the other side.
Yeah, yeah. Some of these have never been here on this side. I really enjoyed the ones who have been, like Saint Germain, who's been both a human and uh, and a spirit teacher. Those are very, very interesting souls to speak with.
Wow, okay. So Peter, I'm going to ask you some questions just to get to know you. So Peter, what's something people would be surprised to learn about you?
Wow. Well, I got no secrets in my past, okay? So there was a decade where I was a drug addict and depressed and suicidal. People were like, "Oh, I can't believe that. You're like so happy and all this stuff." And I go, "Yeah, I had to suffer a bit and then be done with that, you know?" And then the other thing that people don't know about me is I'm a flawed individual. You see me in YouTube when I get cleaned up, take a shower and put a suit on, but I have my own crap. I deal with it. And so, yeah, I'm just really, really appreciating loving myself for who I am. And it's not just some big ideal, it's just every moment of life. Maybe people just didn't know that.
When you're not channeling or coaching, what do you do for fun?
So, my best fun is paddle boarding. So, at least once a week, I try to go out in a lake. I live in a desert, right? So, having a reservoir that's only like 30 minutes away by car is very, very nice. And so that's it. I'll just hang out all day. I was there just last weekend and it was like there was this one cove and I almost never go in the coves. I kind of stay in the center of the lake, but it's like the board just turned on its own practically. And I went there and I was drawn to these trees and I'm looking up at these big, beautiful cottonwood trees and I'm sitting right under them and I get a blessing from the trees. And I'm just sitting on my board, start shaking, all this stuff's coming out of me, and then it's being amplified by the water, or the lady of the lake, or whatever you want to call it, the water spirits, was amplifying it. And then, that was like 2 days ago, and I've been such an energetic high since then. So those are
Wow.
some of the things I do for fun is paddleboarding, number one on the list. Very first aha spiritual moment was in high school. Okay. And I was at a party, which is a typical American high school party. People are hanging out in the house drinking. And the mother of the host of the party comes up to me and says, I have to tell you something. You should read these books. And they were Seth Speaks by Jane Roberts, right? Classics way back then. And I was just a teenager. And I'm like, how do you know to tell me? I just know to tell you. And it just boggled me, not so much the books. I read the books, of course, and they were great, but it boggled me that somebody could come up to me and have knowledge that I had no access to and can talk to me like it was like a thing, a physical, tangible thing, and then give me a little bit of guidance. And so that, of course, set the whole journey up. I ignored it and avoided it for decades, but that was the first thing. All right, so I got on the path in a big way when I hit my bottom. I was a drug addict and a drunk. And the only thing that kept me alive was I was afraid of dying because I was just so depressed and stuff, but I was scared to death. So it kept me alive. So I knew I had to do something. So I joined AA, Alcoholics Anonymous. And part of it was the first three steps was I can't, God can, I'll let God do it. All right, so that means I had to have a relationship with God. The good thing is that it was in AA, it was as God as you understand God, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. So it was not the monster gods that I grew up with, the religious upbringing I had, where the same people who were telling me to fear the Lord were also torturing and abusing me. Okay, so it was very different, right? So you can tell I had a lot of hesitation, right? So that's really saved my life, was opening up to a higher power. And that's the way it was in Alcoholics Anonymous, is a power greater than myself. That was the key. And from there on, just one thing led to the next.
What were some of your earliest experiences with higher dimensional beings?
So I really never, I was always kind of I was always kind of an intuitive. I could always sense things, but I was also afraid. So to claim my own power, and that's why I try to help so many people claim their power. So I was always like somebody else who was special, somebody else who had the connection, and it's really all of us once we let go of our stuff that stops us, right? Anyway, so I always had that going, but it really kicked in a super big way because I always got sensations and I always got feelings, but I never did anything with it. It kicked in a super big way when I was going through QHHT healing. I decided I wanted to learn to be a remote viewer. So I took a free class online. It's called Farsight. It's on YouTube. You can just take free classes and to become a remote viewer. And I was not getting a lot of progress. Nonetheless, I was sticking with it. And one of the dudes on the teachers said, well, he had a QHHT session, quantum healing hypnosis technique, Dolores Cannon's work. And it really cleared him up, and he was even a much better remote viewer. So I looked it up. I found a person in town. I went to do it. So I'm doing this session, and she thinks she's doing a normal section, but no, all the work I had put in finally paid off. I'd traveled to this university 4 times, spending a month at a time each there in southern India by Chennai, and really immersed deeply with high level consciousness monks, doing a lot of clearing work. I mean, it was spiritual boot camp. I mean, we would spend all day, every day, from early in the morning to late at night, suffering, but not really suffering. We were we're finding our own suffering from our past and releasing it. So it was like constant. Right. Anyway, one of the things they did at Oneness was they had you build a temple in your heart so that your divine could live in your heart, in you. And I talk about this in my second book a lot, about how important it is when you become God realized, when you realize that you and God, there's no separation. It's important that you have this temple in your heart. You have a place for this divine to reside in you. I mean, it does already, but if you acknowledge it, it's stronger. Okay. So I'm in this QHHT session, and all of a sudden I'm in my temple because I hadn't gone to it in years. It was there. I'm in my temple, and there's a nice big meeting room, and I just start talking to an entity called Mira. She's from the Pleiades, and I'm talking to her like I'm talking to you, Amadeep. And I'm just in the meeting room in my temple, which was built for this. Okay. And I'm having this conversation with her. And it turns out Mira is part of the Galactic Council, all right, of the Galactic Federation, and she's part of the ground crew. The mission is to come to help people on Earth like me who are ready to move forward and dive into their abilities. So I was having this conversation with her. So this lady's running this QHHT session with me, and she's trying to sit there and say, well, what about this? I'm like, shut up, I'm having this conversation. So she lets me do my thing. And after a while, he's like, okay, well, where was this? How did you get there? And I'm like, oh, I built it in my heart. And so at that point, then I would run around to my friends, okay, and say, okay, I've been connecting to this entity called Mira. Let's play. And I would just ask them and talk to Mira. And so it was just channeling her just as the only entity I was channeling. And that kicked things off. That was what, in 2021, somewhere in there, that happened.
How can I tell the difference between imagination and a channeled message?
Yeah, so that's the whole key now, isn't it? Right? And you're going to love this answer. You can't. So you have to surrender to the fact that it is imagination, which then opened you up to different realms. Okay. Now, what I did, because I was afraid, is I would go to my friends, the ones I trusted, not the ones who were assholes. Don't mess with them. Okay. Go to my friends who I trusted and say, something's happening and I want to play with it. And we would play with it, and they were all into it. They would take notes and stuff, and they were like into it. And then I would sit there and I'd have a one question customer satisfaction survey. And that was this information useful? Not was it true? Was it accurate? Did anything, did you get any use out of it? And even if it just made them happy, it was useful, right? But they all said yes. So then uh, I sold my regular business. I was getting ready to retire from that. And I'm heading off to Egypt with my wife for a 29-day tour with Lee Carroll, Cryon, a channeler. Okay. And he's a world-renowned channeler, right? So he knows how to do all that stuff. And there was 100 people on this cruise boat going down the Nile with us. And so we had these afternoons on the cruise boat. And I was playing this like I would, and word got out I could channel. They were lined up. All right. And then people were saying, oh my God, I had such a powerful session. So these are people who were attending to world-class channeler like Lee Carroll and giving me good feedback. So then I got home and Spirit says to me, how much more you need? You're just going to keep dicking around. Or you're going to go public with it. All right. And so at that point, I had to do it. And to answer your original question, it's still my imagination. Okay, it's just I trust it. It's like when you ask me a question, except for the ones you've got written down, right? When you ask me a question, you don't know how the sentence is going to end when you start it, do you? So you trust it. Okay. Well, how do you know you're not making it up? Well, you are. All right. So it's no difference between you making it up and spirit making it up. It's just that you start to be reflective of the energetic that's coming through. And as you get more reflective on the deep, you can start to tell when it's just the mind spinning the old stuff and when it's something fresh and new. And then when it's fresh and new, then you're on to something. And then it's a matter of flavors. You're at the ice cream store, they got 31 flavors, right? And so you got to, oh, this flavor and that flavor. And then you get used to knowing, well, this one feels like this. I think I'll call it Archangel Michael. Okay. And that's because I'm thinking about Archangel Michael while I'm doing it, right? And then after a while, it's like, for example, when I told you I was paddleboarding and the trees just sucked me in and the stuff was going on. I'm like, I don't know what to call the lake energy, the lady of the lake, water pixies. Every time I say water pixies, they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're water pixies now. I don't know any of that. Nobody does. But you're starting to see, we're learning a new language. We're learning 5D. Okay. And there's no one-to-one translation. It's hard enough for you, right? You speak more languages than I do, and you have to listen to me in English, right? Imagine not having a dictionary where you can translate back and forth, but it's an energy because there's no words and the words don't even match it. Okay. And so you just trust it. And eventually, you're making it up.
So, how does alignment with one's higher self enhance the speed of clarity of manifestation?
That's a great question. And I'm going to twist it on you a little bit, okay? Because it's not so much alignment with one higher self as it is letting go of what is not in alignment. Okay, so you get aligned by letting go of what's not aligned. All right, and so for me, it's the beliefs that are unconscious and running. The law of attraction is true, okay? But what they don't tell you is your unconscious beliefs are 1,000 times more powerful for manifesting, okay? So what is it in me? Now, everybody I work with, the big five, not good enough, not worthy, don't deserve, not loved, not lovable. Yeah, you're not in your head. You understand. Okay. All right. So we got that stuff. So the point is to go in there and start to let that go. All right. Well, how do you let that go? Anything fully experienced turns to bliss. Now, that turn to bliss means you're open and you're automatically in alignment. Okay. But the goal is not how do I align? The goal is how do I let go? All right. And that means fully experienced. When I told you I was at Oneness University, they weren't the only ones who taught me this. The books, Right Use So Will, very, very helpful, extremely helpful for doing this kind of work. But at Oneness, they were very systematic about it. And you just go through all the stuff that comes up, your childhood, this experience from your birth, when you start to remember your past lives too, you come up and you complete the experience, i.e., fully express what was held in there. Okay. And that's done with sound and movement because we're in bodies in 3D, and that's how we hold it with sound and movement. So when I say we would suffer for a month every day, all day, that's what I meant is that we were actually letting go of by fully experiencing the pains we haven't dealt with. And the more you do that, the more you are in alignment, okay? Because it's all bliss, right? Anything fully experienced turns to bliss. You're in the oneness field, it's blissful, right? So you're there. And then from that oneness field, manifestation is just a matter of focus. I'm still working on it. I'm not an expert, but I understand it. But I still have a pretty good life that I've been able to create. So I don't know if that is clear enough for your answer.
So do you ever get over it? Like all these emotions, like for example, anger. I have a lot of anger and it's just coming out and it's not stopping. It's like, does it end? Does it ever get to a point where, you know,
I
it's
don't know because
manageable?
I haven't experienced it.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I do know that when I explode fully, and for all your listeners, when I give them the big fuck you, all right, and I do, right? I'm not all Mr. Bliss and peaceful, okay? I'm a human being in a body doing human stuff, okay? So when I get that and let that go, then there's this period of time. But because I've held it back rigidly for so long and I broke through by letting that expression, the next one comes. All right. Now, the magnitude of what we're trying to accomplish in this lifetime is beyond just, oh, this lifetime. I mean, how many do you got on the deep? 100,000 more? I know. I mean, I'm talking to you. I can sense you've been around the block a lot. Okay. All right. So am I. All right. So we're doing thousands of lifetimes of clearing. So does it ever end? No. Does it eat you alive? No, because at a certain point you just let it go and it's a flow here and it's a flow there. And then at a bigger point, there's grace. And grace is when you've done enough release work that you're in this connection with your higher self, that things are just lifted. I've seen the miracles in other people. I've received them for me. I haven't got everything fully yet. But one of the things we did at Oneness University was we got to touch the golden orb. So they got this big ball of gold. Okay. And Bhagavan, he's an avatar. A lot of people call him Kalki. I think he is. Okay. And that's not saying nothing lightly. Okay. Anyway, I'm not here to worship him or anything like that. I'm just saying I was in the presence of a great being and I need to respect the greatness that I was in the presence of. Anyway, so Kalki as a kid could sense the phenomena. He called it a golden boar and he chanted into it for decades. And then he got so advanced in his skills and powers that all these monks started following him and they've been chanting. So they've had this golden phenomena, an energetic phenomena that hundreds of monks have been chanting into for 24/7 for decades. Okay. So they built a golden ball and put it there. All right. And so they spent this one thing for us, we had been to the classes enough time. They finally let out the golden ball. Okay. So we spent 3 weeks preparing just to touch it. Okay. So almost everybody would touch it and just drop to the ground. I volunteered to be one of the people to help catch them, as they fall and carry them away and lay them down, tuck them in, right? Stuff like that. So that was really fun. All right. So anyway, it got to be my turn. I touched the golden ball. And there was this thing that I was super, super shameful of. All that stuff you said, you don't know. Oh, I've done horrible things on the deep. Okay. And there was one thing I was super, super ashamed of, and I'd never let it go. It's always there. I touched the golden ball, gone. Okay. Uh, so I can remember the incident, but my body doesn't go, ooh, and I don't have the mental thoughts about it all. It's just, oh, that was something that I did and happened. And then later that day, the second most shameful thing in my life evaporated. And then by that evening, the third most. Okay. So I know this is possible that at a certain point, you're in a state of connection and grace, and then miracles take place. All right. In Western culture, we get all Jesus up, right? Go to the prayer meetings and everything do it, but it's the same kind of thing. All right. And so, does it ever go away? Yes. But then you open up new layers of awareness. And the most recent one I'm playing with is, and I've been avoiding this for years, okay? I've been dealing with all my crap, and there's a lot, okay? I deal with all my crap. Now I got to the point where I can sense the pain I caused others. All right. So normally you have to die and then you do your life review and you see all the pain you caused. And that's when people go, oh no, put me back. I'll do better. And that's where you have this cycle of reincarnation, right? I'm doing it while I'm alive. And that's where everybody's going to get to is you do this while you're alive. Okay. And then you don't have to do the cycle of reincarnation anymore. You can move to a better place if that's what you think there is a better place, or you can stay in this place and enjoy it without the pain of the past. But anyway, I'm at this point where uh, I'll just say, oh, I did this to this person, and it was just a small little thing, but they really heard about it. And so I will sit there and, it's hard not feeling my pain sometimes, but it's like, okay, can I make time to feel their pain? But it's not their pain. I caused it. So it is my pain. So I'm connected to it, right? Uh, so yeah, that's where my most recent awakening experience has been is uh, just feeling the pain I caused, in high school, in college, all those other relationships, all the people I've just been an asshole to. Uh, yeah. And it's like getting a ton of bricks dumped on you because that's how many bricks I had in my ton. So, so does it ever end? I don't know, but I do know that miracles happen and you're in these greater places and then new vistas open up.
Are there any simple practices you would recommend for someone to ground or recharge their body?
So, being outside in nature is the most important thing for that. Go outside every day, even if you live in a city. Go outside and just talk to the sky and imagine that your root goes all the way into the earth just for a few minutes. If you can do it while you're quiet, that's fine. Uh, so that's the most simple practice. Then, really, on the deep, it's just awareness. Awareness is the first step. Awareness is the last step. Okay, and so then the next practice is to practice what you're aware of. In fact, just yesterday, I had another revelation. Actually, it came on the lake while I was paddleboarding, which is why I love paddleboarding. Right. And that was that mind never gets quiet. Okay. So everybody says, oh, you meditate a lot and your mind's quiet. I'm like, oh, my mind's running around doing all that monkey stuff all the time. Mine never gets quiet. What changes is focus. All this is going on here, but I can look over here and hold my focus on this for just a moment. And that's the same as a quiet mind. So it doesn't matter if you're in this big, crazy city with a cacophony of stuff going on around you and all the traffic in the street. Where is your moment of focus? And the more I hold the focus, the more aware I become. So it's not that I ever get quiet and I have all these insights. It's because my focus is able to shift and I'm able to hold it. So that's the next practice after being outside a little bit every day. Awareness. And then it starts with awareness of the mind. Oh, I had a thought. Oh, I'm thinking about having a thought. Oh, I just had a thought. It's really cool. Oh, and you do that for hours, right? Until you get sick of it. And then eventually get to the point of, can I look at something else and just look at it without having a thought thinking about it? Because as soon as you have the thought, you're out of the awareness experience. You're back in the mind doing its stuff. Okay. So if I could just look at you for a moment and see your eyes, period. And not go, oh, your eyes are this, and I felt that. As soon as you do that, you're out of the awareness. Okay. You're out of the connection. All right. So those are the most simple practices that are available to everybody. Connect and be aware.
Why is it important for people to embody their God self in this lifetime rather than wait for it to happen in the next incarnation?
Special dispensation. Okay. So there's more at play than just you and your life. Okay. And you and your life are here because of the confluence of other things. So there's energetic cycles that are in our solar system, in our galaxy, in the universe. Uh, in Hindi tradition, there's yugas, right? And they're about 6,500 years each of these yugas. We just got out of the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age, and we're entering the Satya Yuga, the Golden Age. In Western astrology, they call it the Age of Aquarius. Okay. If you look at the galaxy, right, if you look at it from the top down, it's like a big plate. It's got spiral arms and stuff like that. All right. And we know it's spinning, right? But if you look at it sideways, it also wobbles. Okay. Now we're really far out. or on the edge of one of the arms, okay? And this wobble is about 26,000 years. All right. And we are just at the place, and it's going to end in a couple of years, but we're just at that place of a 30, roughly about a 50-year period where we were as close to the central sun of the galaxy as we're ever going to get. Okay. And then we're going to start to move out of that, and then it'll wobble back down. So we're at a peak confluence of a 26,000 year cycle, which is also in the 6,500 year cycles, the yugas, which also at that point, you look at the Mayan calendar, all that stuff, okay, all around the planet. We're at that peak confluence of energetics. So why is it important in this life? It's not go play as much as you want to play, but this is your window. Do you want to do this for another 26,000 years? So you get as much as you can get now. The goal is to get ascension in a single lifetime, and you can do that. That's available to everybody now because of the energetic blessing, the gift from source, or the science of the wobble, whatever you want to call it, or the yugas, or whatever you want to call it. That's why it's an opportunity to do it now, not that you have to do it now. Uh, it's your creation. You're a free will person. You have free will. You're on a free will planet. you know, own the power of that. Once you own the power of that, then choose, not stop the whole victim stuff. Oh, and stop all the old teaching. If you spend 17 lifetimes of really focusing, you can clear your karma out and you'll be enlightened and free. Yeah, in the old energy, when the galaxy was like that, now get it all now. One lifetime. Yeah. So, important, not necessarily. Opportunity, totally right now.
And what is the current collective energy of humanity right now on the planet?
So it's really, really fun. I can't say this is the collective. I can tap into it and it's like, it's an ocean. It's like you go here and there's these cold currents running like that. And so they start a war in the Ukraine. And then you go here and there's this other asshole who decides he wants to have a weapon system and he uses energy weapons to make a hurricane there. So that's going on, right? But then there's all these other places. All right. And those places are beautiful and calm and loving. So there's two ways to look at it. One is you look at everybody. And when I tap in, I've got an arbitrary scale of 1 to 100 for awakening. Okay. And each step is twice as far as all the other steps. All right. So it's really far. So when I tap in, humanity is at a high 3, which is amazing considering it was like nothing not that long ago. This is literally the dark ages. I mean we still kill people for their religious beliefs, right? Okay. so
Is
so
is like 3 out of 10, you're saying? High
three
three?
out of three out of 100 with each step is
Oh.
twice as far. Okay, as a collective. Now that makes you sad, right? But that's not the key. The key is, how are the individuals doing? And there are certain individuals, there's thousands, tens of thousands on the planet that are up in the 40s or 50s. All right. There's another dozens, maybe 100 that are starting to approach Christ-like, Buddha-like skills. Okay. So the whole collective isn't the issue. All right. It's how bright are these points of light? And those are really starting to notice. I mean, you would not be doing what you were doing if you were 3. Okay. You're way past that. All you people listening right now, yeah, past 3 a lot, right? Some of you are getting into the lower single digits. Some of you are breaking into the teens, right? And then some of us are starting to get into the 20s and 30s and 40s. And what happens is that we affect everybody around us unconsciously. And so if you look at this sea that used to be darkness, there's these points of light that are so, so bright. And you know how it is. Darkness is not like there's a line. This is light. This is dark. It's not like that. Okay. If this light is here, it lights up into the darkness. Okay. So, how's humanity doing? More and more of us are hitting very high peak states. And that's why I started off talking about this app. Yeah, let's bring another 10 or 20,000 people up. Come on. Come on. Let's make the pool brighter.
And what's the app called?
That's going to be called the Becoming Awesome Ascension Program. and
Okay.
it's not going to come out till the end of 2025. Uh, but I do have a free 14-day program to give you a taste of what this is like. You can go to becomingawesome.one.one and just it's really longer than 14 days. It's 14 lessons that show up every day in your inbox. But you need to work it for several months if you really want to get any value out of it. All right. And that's free, 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 free. Okay. So yeah. So but for those of people who are serious and don't want to dabble and say, this is my lifetime, this is my opportunity. Why am I wasting it doing this other stuff? You know, then that app's going to be available uh
Okay.
end of 2025, beginning of 2026.
Perfect. And so, what are the energetic imbalances that are affecting like individual people?
So I've been doing energy forecasts, monthly energy forecasts, still in the May window.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So for the biggest thing right now is we're moving out of chaos into equilibrium. All right. As a planet. And that means a couple of things. One is you're going to be able to have the opportunity for stability because everybody, it was like really hard, right?
Yeah.
Okay, the past few months, right? Right? You know what I'm saying? And that's because the energy was, oh, let's make this big push. Okay. So now we're going to have a breather moment. So for the rest of this month and into next month, we're going to have a breather moment of going, oh. Now that does two things. One is it lets the people who have had a rough time just relax. Go to lie down in the sun and just take it easy, drink something cold and relax. Okay. For those of us who have gone enough that it wasn't too traumatic, this means it's a new platform to launch from. All right. Okay. Hey, I did all that chaos and I'm still on my feet here. I'm doing great. All right. So that's going to be super, super helpful for people who realize that, okay, I'm out of the chaos. I'm in this equilibrium period, but I can actually go further. Now, this is going to lead into June, and the solstice in June is going to be big. The summer solstice is going to be really big. And that's not a thing that just happens on a day. It's you can tap into that energy now if you want to. By the time this airs, it'll be like a week or two from where you really feel it if you put your attention on it. All right, if you can put your attention on it. And that's going to amplify manifestation abilities. So if you come into this with, oh, everything's crazy, because that's the thing. It's been crazy for a few months. And if you keep focusing on that and stuff, guess what you're throwing in the portal? So you're going to get more of that, right?
More
But for the
crazy.
rest, yeah, so for the rest of us, oh, I've come out of that. I'm on my feet. I'm doing good. Now, what's next for me? That's a huge opportunity to say, all right, and it was super funny. It's like you got you're on a free will planet. We're all here on free will. We can get whatever we want. There's no right or wrong. But I remember one teaching I came across where, a person was having an experience where the divine showed up to him, and the divine said, "I'm going to give you a boon. You can have anything you want." And everybody said, "I want this. I want that." And then the last guy says, "I want to be closer to you." And Source says, good one. All right. So if you want to get specific things, get them. But also consider this is your thing to get it all. How do you get it all? Embodying the divine that is in you, the Antriyaman, the indweller, right? Piece of God's in you, right? Really, really let that come out. Get closer to it. And so lots of possibilities are coming up in the next month.
So you're talking about getting like connecting with the divine, but what inner shifts, like both spiritual and physical, must we go through to fully embody that divine awareness?
You're asking me to take all of ascension, which humanity is going to spend generations working on from the platform we build right now, and answer it in, well, let's do it in one thing. Okay. Amaddeep, I love you. And you got vision. You got vision. Okay. But here's the deal. The thing that you want to focus on, do you want to focus on is it real for you in the moment? Earlier, I was talking about that it's not quieting the mind, it's just using your ability to focus. So get, I think in the Indian tradition, it's called a Sri Murti, an icon of your divine, a picture or an image, and just spend a few minutes focusing on that. Okay. And
Mm.
just do that every day, just as part of your meditation. Just, oh, But see, the picture is going to be outside of you, right? But nonetheless, focus on it so you have a connection. Play music if you want to do that, and just look in adoration in the eyes of your divine. Okay. Then put it inside. Okay, I have this beautiful connection now. It's not over. I'm not going to go into my work world. No, I'm going to take this beautiful connection and put it here. This is why earlier I was talking about building a temple in your heart. You can formally do that, which is just draw pictures every day. Oh, this is my temple. Look, you want to live here? Cool. All right. Or you just notice that you have this energy opening. Now, all the work you do with your Kundalini, balancing your chakras, all that stuff, that energetically opens you up to place these things inside you. So yeah, that's all good and important. But the intent and the focus, just keep connecting. Keep connecting to your source because your source is you. You are a fractal of the expression of the magnificence of all that is. You are that powerful. You are that amazing. You are that divine. So if you keep focusing on it first externally by gazing into the eyes of, and then by internally bringing it into you, then you start living from that place and you never get over, am I making it up? So what? You know? It's like, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm being interviewed by a goddess right now. Her name happens to be Amadit because that's how she's choosing to express in this incarnation. But I know I'm in the presence of God. All right. And so you get to the point where you just start living from that you and everybody else is this divine entity. And then things change.
You. Are there any beings or spiritual entities that want to communicate with us at this time? And what do they want us to know?
So Archangel Michael jumped to the front of the line. And I love me some Archangel Michael. He's been around for the past few days saying, Peter, you're not giving me enough airtime. I'm like, Michael, I'm trying to write an app and do all this other stuff. You want to help with that? And it's like, it's so funny. I remember these people used to tell me that they'd be driving down the highway and God would show up in the back seat of their car. And some of them would freak out and almost get into a wreck. And others would say, I'm busy. I'm trying to drive now. Okay. And it's like the whole thing is that you are connected to source in the way you let yourself be connected to source. So, Archangel Michael, sorry, I'm not giving you the airtime I can give you right now, but I'm trying to be a human on the planet. Having said all that, let's see what Archangel Michael has to say here. Oh, blessed, blessed souls. We have to laugh because Peter is that way. He expresses in ways of humor and joy. And we in the angelic realm appreciate the humor and joy of human expression. Many of you believe that the angelic realm is here as your guides, which we are, of course, but we are also here because we need you as our teachers. And it's not so much you're going to teach us lessons, but you're going to embody on your planet what it is like to be a vast, expansive, high density being, yet have physicality. And with that physicality comes all your emotions and all the joy, the satisfaction that we in the angelic realm do not experience because we do not have that intensity of physical focus as you do. So here is Peter laughing, and we let that come in. And this is our message to all of you as much as you may think it is difficult right now, because yes, it is hard. There's change at heart. And it is not like it has been. It's always been difficult, but it's been hidden and you've been protected from it. Now it's all shining in the light and it hurts and you're raw on the inside and there's so much pain and grief being moved everywhere you look. Yes, yes. And we see you as the magnificent beings who know you've got it handled, who know that you came here to do this incredible, some would say impossible, we say miraculous task. And of course, this is why we in the angelic realm choose to connect and help with you. Because one, what you're doing is so amazing. It's like way better than rooting for your favorite sports team. It's way better than that. And two, what you're doing is going to open up vistas up for us. Because of our connection with you, we can then start to embody these kinds of intensities of feeling and satisfaction and just the joy of physicality into the higher realms where we exist. So we are so grateful for that connection. So what we wish to say to all of those listening now is yes, we know how hard these times are. And You are not alone. This talk you have heard of your divine within, your antriyaman. Yes, magnify that. And don't try to do it alone. That is the big thing on the planet we mistake. Oh, I must do this or something's wrong with me. No, 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 no. Let us hold your hand. Invoke the angelic realm. Invoke your gods, your goddesses, whatever it is that you feel connected to. Always, always, always go into every situation as a party. Go into it with all of the resources available to you, seen and unseen. And you do that by focus, by awareness, by saying, yes, I invite you in, because we're always here. But the inviting gives permission to act and makes the connection. And then if you pause and go, wow, whatever's going on around you, and then reach out and hold our hands. So that is what we are really, really here to tell you is we're with you. We got your back. We're amazed that you're choosing to move forward. And, and please, every little bit of it, hard, difficult, joyful, share it. Let us help carry this burden. Let us help propel you because you are so loved and magnificent. That is what we see when Peter was talking about, oh, the only three on his arbitrary scale of where you're at. Yeah, we forget that because we do not see the humanity scale. We see the cosmic scale. And we see so much brightness in all your souls, so much magnificence in the shine of the treasure that you are. So don't for 1 second, for a moment, think you are dull, just because you chose to go crawl around in a dull place to try to bring light to it. Know that you are that light and you are magnificent and you are loved.
Thank you. That was so beautiful.
Archangel Michael, what a guy, what a dude. Thank you.
So, Peter, any message from you for the audience?
You know, celebrate who you are. I'm working on this whole app thing, and my wife said, you missed a key lesson. You got to write a key lesson. So we had to go put it right at the beginning. It's the first thing after the welcome, and it is celebrate like a kid. All right. So every little thing you do, just yay! Thank you, more, please. So that's my message to everybody out there. Yeah, especially with what Archangel Michael was saying. Just celebrate like a kid. If nothing else, for this moment, you're listening to this beautiful podcast and there's some energetics and there's some relief and there's some inspiration. Celebrate. And in the rest of your life, every moment, celebrate it.